Alright, without much ado, let's get into it. So, this video is me addressing a stance that I hear a lot in gaming these days, which is we don't need fighting games to have single player content. Like, it's all about multiplayer. And to that, I'm going to construct a logical argument as to why that's bullshit. So let's get to it. After the cut. Fighting games these days need a more robust single player for a variety of reasons, but the big reason is just because we've moved beyond what fighting games used to be. See, fighting games back in the day on home console were basically downports from the arcade, right? So let's say you were playing Street Fighter, right? Street Fighter was essentially a port from the arcade game, right? And almost every fighting game was a port from the arcade. And what did you have on the arcade? You had a single player that was basically just a gauntlet, you fighting your way through the roster, maybe one or two hidden characters and a boss. That was it. And then you had versus mode, which was you against the computer or you against another player. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But in today's day and age, with the type of content we have and the amount of, how things have progressed, and considering that the arcade is pretty much dead by and large, arcades are not what they used to be back in the day. Even in places where they still have arcades, fighting games are not the major thing in most arcades these days. It's a lot of party games, dance games, rhythm games, stuff like that. So even even with that going on, you're not going to see, people want more, or at least I want more. For someone to say, well, fighting games don't need to have single player content is like someone coming up to you saying, well, I don't need a hamburger that has, other condiments. All I need is a bun, ketchup, and mayonnaise. Now, you might like that, but here's the thing. Not having the option to have caramelized onions, maybe some caramelized mushrooms, maybe maybe a toasted bun, maybe some crisp lettuce, maybe some cheese. Like, you want more, right? You need to up your game. And that's the thing about single player games. And the sad thing is that, like, a lot of fighting games have been regressing. Like, I remember Soul Calibur 2 when I was much younger, on the GameCube and the PS2 and the original Xbox. That game had a robust as fuck single player. Yeah, you had your arcade mode and your story mode with each character, but you also had like a single player weapon master mode, which was like ridiculous amounts of content. You had unlockables and everything like that. Now, this is footage from the training mode Soul Calibur 6, and this is on PC because I'm not paying fucking online. I'm not paying $60, $20, or $50 a year for fucking online that I already paid for with my ISP. So, but basically, this game is fucking great. It's basically like they took the combat system from 5, got rid of the shit that didn't matter, took the gameplay systems from 2 and 3, and then combined it all together. This game is great. I love it. But as I was saying, like, I want multiplayer games that have more content. You cannot sell me a game with like piss poor single player content, especially a fighting game now, because there needs to be more to it. There needs to be more. You can't get away with, well, here's the game, okay, with basic modes. So we'll get to the next part of this after the cut. So here are some suggestions that I have for how to basically inject some more, how can I put this, content into single player content into fighting games that makes sense. And I'm going to use 3 examples for 3 radically different fighting games. For Tekken and Dead or Alive, something like that, I would say take the path of Air Jai's God Bless the Ring from back in the day. What I mean is basically excuse me, have like a dungeon or a series of dungeons that you travel around the gaming world in, going into, fighting people, getting experience, getting money, leveling up, becoming more powerful, getting equipment, buying equipment, equipping it, becoming better. Do that type of shit. That would make a game really fun. What else? Street Fighter. Now, here's something that I think could really up Street Fighter. Okay? Imagine a Street Fighter game where you have a single player mode. Yeah, you have your standard single player mode where you fight your way through a gauntlet, fighting your way up to M. Bison or M. Bison stand-in for whatever version of Street Fighter that is. But imagine if you had a Street Fighter game where a single player mode where you're essentially, it turns into Final Fight where it's a beat 'em up, right? Until you get to a boss, and then it turns into a traditional, 2D playing Street Fighter. That could work. That would add some variety and make the games more interesting. Or imagine a game like Guilty Gear, where you essentially have a single player that's kind of like a platformer, where you're going around, or even not a platformer, a beat 'em up, where you're going around in a grand beat 'em up, beating the shit out of people on a 2D plane as sole bad guy. That could totally be a viable gameplay option. But I'm just saying, these games need to move beyond just offering the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. Yes, the same shit is great, but you need to add more. So with that being said, we'll move to the conclusion after the cut. So, I guess it's time to do my summary. Basically, as I said in the earlier segments, single player fighting games need to offer more content aside from your standard single player gauntlet and versus mode. There needs to be more. How they do this, I offered a few options as to how they could do it. Adding a beat 'em up mode, adding some RPG elements, stuff like that. So tell me what you think in the comment section. Next, well, this Saturday we will be doing the Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish, where we will be talking about some really cool stuff that's going to make people very happy. And this Sunday, 7:30, we will be talking about the news of the week in BS Busters. So look forward to that. Hopefully our atypical crowd will be there. So we'll be there and we can all talk about, stuff that's been going on. So rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace.